On a freezing November afternoon, a 17-year-old boy calls 911, claiming his stepfather was accidentally shot while hunting. But when police arrived, they found 0 tears, 0 panic, and the boy cold-heartedly referring to his own stepfather as that man. And once forensics analyzed the scene, the evidence proved it was no accident, but a calculated point-blank execution. What was hiding behind this innocent teenager's face? Let's uncover the shocking truth behind this cold-blooded case.
On November 30th, 2023, dispatchers in Lenawee County, Michigan received a frantic emergency call. A 17-year-old boy, deep in a remote stretch of winter woods, reported that his stepfather had been shot. First responders navigated an off-road vehicle through the difficult, snowy terrain to reach the coordinates. When they arrived, they found the caller, 17-year-old Trenton Barry, frantically pressing his hands against a fatal gunshot wound on Kurt Stubbins' back. Trenton offered a simple explanation to the dispatchers and the police arriving at the scene. He claimed they were hunting, walking back toward their truck, when he suddenly heard a loud boom and realized his gun had accidentally discharged. On the surface, the scene looked like a devastating hunting accident. But as investigators began to process the site, the foundation of the teenager's story immediately started to fracture. The lead detective arrived while paramedics were still working on Kurt. Amidst the chaos of the snowy clearing, his attention was drawn to the suspect's unusual demeanor. Trenton exhibited a bizarre lack of emotion. His face was entirely tearless, and rather than expressing grief or panic about his dying stepfather, he referred to him with detached indifference as that man. The tone shifted even further during a quiet moment at the scene. Sitting near the bloody snow, Trenton turned to the detective and politely apologized for making the officers come out on such a beautiful day. These severe behavioral anomalies were the first indicators for law enforcement that the panicked teenager routine was a calculated performance. Moving past the behavioral red flags, the physical evidence at the scene flatly contradicted Trenton's excuse that he tripped and the gun went off by mistake. 3 specific forensic details unraveled his alibi. This diagram, based on Kurt's autopsy, shows the bullet traveled in a perfectly horizontal line into his back, impossible for a tripping hunter. From a top-down view, investigators tracking their path discovered Trenton deliberately stepped exactly inside Kurt's footprints, masking his approach. The final issue was the missing evidence. Despite officers combing the snowy clearing with metal detectors and specialized canine units, the spent shell casing was entirely absent. Trenton had pocketed it. This triad of physical evidence proves the shooting was a methodical, stealthy execution. Detectives relocated Trenton to a nearby fire station for questioning. Rather than aggressively confronting him with the forensic impossibilities, the lead detective deployed a tactical approach based on rapport building to keep the suspect talking. The detective actively praised Trenton's medical efforts at the scene, telling him he did a great job trying to save Kurt's life. This specific tactic was designed to create a false sense of security and lower the teenager's guard. Under this gentle, conversational pressure, Trenton's subconscious physical tells betrayed his calm words. While maintaining his lie about tripping, he squeezed his hands and fingers together so forcefully that his knuckles turned completely white. Whenever pressed on specific details he couldn't explain, Trenton blamed a lack of morning medication. He used his mental health as a preemptive, manipulative excuse to justify his shifting memory of the event. Investigators rely on this psychological pressure cooker. By observing the contrast between a suspect's verbal lies and their uncontrollable physical reactions, detectives can accurately gauge when an alibi is breaking down. With the mechanics of the murder established, investigators shifted focus to the motive. They soon discovered a digital footprint that exposed a hidden, toxic family dynamic leading up to the shooting. Snapchat messages from Kurt's daughter detailed a history of predatory behavior by Trenton, culminating in a chilling text, "I feel like I'm next." Kurt had recently discovered this predatory behavior. He confronted Trenton directly in the family living room, forcing the teenager to put down a loaded weapon and publicly humiliating him by making him back down. This confrontation compounded a secondary motive of extreme jealousy. Trenton harbored deep resentment over Kurt's relationships and frequent hunting trips with other friends, feeling excluded from the only man who taught him anything. The murder in the Winter Woods was a premeditated act of violent revenge. Trenton pulled the trigger to bury his dark secret and to regain his perceived dominance over the household. Weeks after the murder, Trenton's behavior took a violent turn inside a moving truck, launching an unprovoked explosive assault on Kurt's friend's son, Brad. During the physical attack, Trenton made a series of deranged statements. As he punched Brad, he screamed that Brad was responsible for taking away his mother and his father, threatening to kill him and go after Brad's dad next. This violent outburst functioned as psychological projection. He blamed an innocent third party for the family destruction he had caused himself. This unprovoked escalation stripped away the final layers of his carefully constructed disabled teenager persona, revealing a highly volatile and dangerous individual who was losing control of his narrative. Following the assault on Brad, Trenton was arrested and booked into the Lenawee County Jail. Surrounded by other inmates, his arrogance took over, leading to a series of chilling, boastful confessions. He admitted to other prisoners that the shooting was no accident. He bragged about letting Kurt walk ahead of him, then intentionally dropping to one knee to execute him from the hip, a detail that aligned with the detective's horizontal trajectory analysis. His psychopathy escalated further behind bars. Upon learning his stepsister planned to testify against him, Trenton offered a fellow inmate $5,000 to assassinate her upon release. The malice extended beyond threats. A family friend recalled an unsettling interaction where he asked Trenton if he missed his stepdad. Trenton responded with a twisted, glowing Joker grin, radiating pure satisfaction over what he had done. These jailhouse interactions cemented the reality. Trenton was a calculating predator, utterly devoid of empathy. Faced with an overwhelming mountain of forensic data, digital evidence, and witness testimony from multiple inmates, Trenton avoided a trial by accepting a plea deal for second-degree murder. He was sentenced to serve between 12 and 50 years in state prison, bringing a definitive end to his violent web of lies. While psychopathy can hide behind a crafted narrative of innocence, a killer cannot outrun the objective truth of physical evidence or the subconscious tells of human behavior.